course, Philippines and Indonesia have been very close partners since a long time ago. In fact, our bilateral relations with Indonesia has stood 67 years of partnership. In these 67 years, there has not been any problem between our two countries. Cooperation has been very friendly, very strong. And of course, right now, we have a new president in the person of President Duterte. And of course, for Indonesia as well, they have a relatively new president in the person of President Joko Widodo, who assumed office in November 2014. And so they haven't met yet. Both presidents have not met yet. Of course, we understand President Duterte has been in office only less than 3 months, and he's been very busy. So therefore, his forthcoming visit to Indonesia, one of our most important partners in ASEAN, and also considered the big brother in ASEAN, is very significant for our bilateral relations as well as for the regional grouping of ASEAN. Well, of course, we all know that Mary Jane was saved from the execution at the last minute, literally, and because she was granted a stay or a reprieve of the death sentence. So this is where it's at right now still. We've requested for this reprieve on the basis of new evidence and a new case that we had in the Philippines, wherein we established, or at least there is an alleged allegation that she was actually a victim of illegal recruitment by some recruiters in the Philippines. And so on that basis, because it will affect her case here, we requested that if she can be saved from execution initially until this case in the Philippines is concluded. And so right now, after that reprieve, we've had some talks with Indonesia on the basis of the mutual legal assistance treaty that we have for ASEAN. The main players in this regard is the Department of Justice and their counterpart ministry here, the Ministry for Law and Human Rights. So they've had several meetings both in Manila and also here in Jakarta in order to work out how to get the testimony of Mary Jane in the case against her alleged recruiters in the Philippines. So that is ongoing right now. In fact, we have a request we've lodged a request with the Ministry of Law that we be allowed to take her testimony by deposition. But of course, we are hoping that there will also still be some room for further consideration while the case is still ongoing in Manila. So that is where it's at right now. Of course, we had this very bad, unfortunate incident whereby some of Indonesian seafarers and fishermen were abducted. This was last April, I believe. And immediately after that had happened, we were able to put together or organize a meeting between the top brass of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. When I speak of top brass, this includes the Secretary of Defense and their counterparts, and his counterparts in both Malaysia and Indonesia, the Chief of Staff of our armed forces and his counterparts as well. And they all met in Surabaya last May to discuss, well, actually they were working on a joint declaration for a trilateral arrangement for securing passage among our maritime areas of common concern. So after that meeting, there have been specialized meetings also among the defense groups, the military, to work on the standard operating procedures as well as the framework for these standard operating procedures. So a lot of options in order to secure the safety of seafarers have been discussed. So I think they're now working on the details of how to actually operationalize this on the ground, or maybe I should say on the seas. Of course, Indonesia has sees itself as an honest broker with respect to the case on the South China Sea. They are not a claimant state, so they have always been pushing for rules-based application of the South China Sea issue and friendly, peaceful resolution of the issue. That is basically where they stand. Our estimate in the embassy, there should be around 6,000 Filipinos all over Indonesia. Of course, the concentration is in Jakarta, which is in the main island of Java, but we have several other Filipinos in major islands or major cities of Indonesia, which includes Medan, which is in North Sumatra. Then we have also in Surabaya, which is also here in Java. We have in Bali, we have in Bandung, we have in Batam, and basically those cities. So our Filipinos here are mainly professionals. They're working very well as top management. A lot of them are teachers, a lot are consultants, engineers, accountants, auditors, really, and a lot of others. And they're very much respected and well appreciated by their employers and their colleagues as well as at work. And I believe that they have been very helpful to their Indonesian colleagues and have been supportive in terms of transferring their knowledge and skills to their Indonesian colleagues. They're all so eagerly awaiting the visit of the President. We conducted the overseas voting here, and he won by majority, no, here in Indonesia, the whole of Indonesia. And so when they learned that there was a possibility that he was coming to Indonesia, everybody was asking us at the embassy when he was coming, and they were all wanting to come over. And you won't believe it, but even some Indonesians have contacted the Philippine embassy to ask whether they could also have meetings or get to see him. So we have planned this Filipino community gathering, and Filipinos as far off as those cities that I mentioned to you, even they are coming. They're skipping their work because this is taking place on a work day. And so everybody's so excited to meet the President.